I want to share with you paraphrasing, because that's the key to being successful in writing a summary. So to successfully paraphrase and avoid patch writing, I want you to try a few steps. The first thing I want you to do is, after you read the text, put the source text away, turn it over, close the browser, do not have it open on the computer screen. And then I want you to paraphrase the main ideas in your own words using your notes. Then check your passage against the newly written paraphrase. So open up the original, read what you paraphrased, and check how close the content is for the interpretation and accuracy. And then add an attribution to the original author. These are called signal phrases, and you can do them with in-text citations. And that's important because you want to keep reminding and prompting your readers that they're reading someone else's work and that it's not you who did the study and what you're sharing. When you're paraphrasing, you need to identify the author and the source. The summary typically contains that information in the first sentence. Expressions you can use to introduce this information include according to the author, or in his or her dissertation, or in their dissertation. The author states that. I want you to avoid patch writing. Patch writing is substandard paraphrasing. When patch writing, it means that the writer doesn't use original sentence structures and word choices. Instead, they use a series of synonyms for just a few words, and then they rearrange the order of the author's words, phrases, and sentences. Beware, patch writing can lead to allegations of plagiarism. To help you find appropriate synonyms, there are a few resources I like to use. The first is thesaurus.com. It is one of the best sites for synonyms. With the synonyms on display, you can actually use the menu bar, and you can look at the meaning of the words. And not only can you understand if they're both nouns, or if they're both subjects, or they're both adverbs, or whatever that word might be, you can look at the meaning of it and see how similar they are. The synonym site also lists words by meaning. Synonyms.com is very similar to it. Check out the Merriam-Webster dictionary, because then if you know the definition of the original word and how it's used in that context, you can think about how to find your own words to describe it. And then your authors in your reading suggested using Google Scholar, and you can type in the verb and it will provide examples of how it's been used or similar wording. And then you can look and see how it's been used in academic writing and other journals. When you're paraphrasing, please give credit to the author throughout the document. Something I want you to do is make sure you are using your own sentence structure. You can do things frequently, like saying a signal like, the author also states that. Now we know though with paraphrasing, you have to preserve technical terms or specialized vocabulary, especially when it's well known in your discipline. Some will say that's just common like knowledge amongst the academics. You don't need to put quotations around it. Other faculty will say if it's a technical term, or if it's a specialized vocabulary, or it's a phrase that's coming from the original author, just put it in quotation marks. And then I would encourage you to not use paraphrasing software like Paraphrase Tool or Copy AI or Phrase, just because they do not pick up the meaning of the words. They will supplement similar words without actually understanding and trying to interpret the text and be able to describe it. So sometimes you will get an inaccurate understanding of the information. Let's talk about writing your first draft of your summary. So you've gone through, you've read everything, you've taken all of your notes, you've done some paraphrasing. Now you need to put it into a summary. I want you to write a first draft. You use the same order as the document text itself. You can adjust the length according to the content or how you're going to be using the summary. You want to state the research question, objective or hypothesis, explain why it's interesting, then state what was tested or if a hypothesis was tested, describe your methodology. So think about your design, your participants, your materials, your procedures. If you manipulated an independent variable, what was measured as a dependent variable, how was your data analyzed? Then describe the results. Were any of them statistically significant or practically significant through maybe a Cohen's d being reported with a t-test? Explain the key implications of the research. And you have to be careful here because you can't overstate the importance of the findings. So I try to avoid adverbs like very or important, or things like not saying it was very statistically significant. There's no such thing as very statistically significant. It's just statistically significant. Explain the key implications. And for the first draft, just focus on the content and not the length. It'll probably be a little too long and it's easier to edit. So condense later as needed. Try to write about all the different sections. And they say when you write your sections, sometimes it's easiest to start with the research question, objectives, hypotheses, and then the methods and the results first. Then go back and write the introduction because you'll know what they looked for and what they measured and how they measured it. And then do your discussion last. And if you have trouble with any one section, just leave it for a while and try another one and go back to it.